I'm going to adopt a more detached tone for this. I'm going to be more of a reporter as long as I can. Because it's a new season, as they mentioned when they went on the air. The AEW Road Rager is part of the Welcome Back tour. Welcome back. Your dreams were your ticket out. And when I heard it was the Welcome Back tour, I'm like, how can we miss you when you've never gone away? And then I realized they were welcoming the fans back. I thought we wanted to welcome them back. But it's a new season and a new era. They were at the Knight Center in Miami, which is a hard building. And I congratulate them that they got whatever they got. I heard it was, 4,000-ish or whatever. The Knight Center is a fairly big building. They darkened it and shot it, so it looked good. But the Knight Center in Miami has never been a building that was going to draw big wrestling crowds for whatever reason. Even in the 80s, I wasn't there for the glory days of championship wrestling from Florida, but when Crockett would go, 3,000 or 4,000 people, maybe even I think a Clash of Champions one time we did there. And it's just a hard town. The Fantastics and Midnight Express had a house show match there one night that was one of the best matches that we ever had with them. And I can remember coming back cussing that there was no tape of that and it was lost forever. But Miami, even back in the 70s, the old Miami Beach Convention Center days, they were a steady 4,000 a week, 5,000 a week. It was a weekly town, but they never did big crowds in Miami. Even the stadium show they did, the Super Bowl match between Harley Race and Superstar Graham, NWA WWF titles, was still, 12,000 people? That may be the record ever in Miami. So anyway.
Well, another thing also, I think there are weather issues right now. I don't know how that affected the house in terms of.
Well, I'm not saying their house was bad. I'm saying that it probably actually was a really good house for that building in Miami. So I'm not knocking them yet. I'll get to that in a second. And they opened up with the South Beach strap match. And couldn't even it have been Savio Vega did a Caribbean strap match. They're close. I don't see South Beach strap match as having the cachet of Texas death match, ghetto street fight, something that sounds violent. South Beach strap match. But because they're in Miami, is there no other South Miami town? Could it have been a fucking Castro death match? I don't fucking know. Anyway, they did do the touch all corners rules. You got to touch 4 corners in a row. And they could have explained it better. They kept saying how the referee can break his count at his discretion. When I've done them, I've always just said the count will be broken when the opponent strikes an offensive blow. In other words, and they kind of skirted around this because the way Cody ended up winning it, not like I'm spoiling anything here, was that he pickled QT a couple of times, but QT didn't hit him. They could have explained it better. If the count stops if your opponent strikes an offensive blow. But anyway, why did they have this match, Brian? To further piss in QT Marshall's mouth? I mean, from the start, did you notice Cody's entrance? QT was already in the ring. He didn't even get music. Cody was introduced, and then during QT's introduction, the camera stayed on Cody, greeting the fans. QT didn't even get a fucking shot. Why is this feud even? Why is this happening?
The feud has been done poorly. If the goal was to elevate QT or any of his students, and Go-Go, I just saw had surgery again on his eye, so he's out of the picture. We haven't seen Camarado or Solo, but again, QT
did see Camarado or Solo in the crowd as they were in the periphery of this, but they don't wrestle.
But QT got the job guy intro, and it makes you wonder what the whole point of this was. Was it just a stopgap thing to give Cody something to do before Aleister Black arrives, or someone else shows up that he has someone to work with who's, no disrespect, but at a higher level than QT Marshall, has more fan appeal than QT Marshall? This feud has been done poorly. If you really look at it from A to Z, the QT Cody feud, and going right to this strap match for no reason and then opening the show with it. I don't know. It wasn't a terrible match, but just...
Well, I can see where they opened the show with it because Cody had to come back and get knocked out later on.
Yeah,
but it wasn't a terrible match. It just QT was there to get the shit kicked out of him and get moments of heat so that Cody could make another comeback. They used the longest strap I have ever seen. It was the right kind of strap. Remember the bull rope match that was a deflated garden hose? This was the perfect kind of strap and the longest one I've ever seen. Usually it's 8 to 12 feet, depending on the personal preference of the strap match master, Wahoo McDaniel or whoever is running the thing. This had to be 20 feet long, and there was a problem with it when you can't get far enough from the guy to get tension on the thing to jerk him into stuff and make it look good. But anyway, and they did some things that I've never seen anybody do a moonsault in a strap match, but QT did. And of course, it wouldn't have touched Cody where he was standing, but QT just jumped up on the top rope and went for a moonsault body block so Cody could whip him in the stomach on the way down with the strap. But the moonsault would not have landed anywhere near Cody had Cody not moved from where he was. Cody knew how to whip with the strap. QT did not. QT was bunching it up too short and wasn't getting a good swing and a good pop. And it also actually hurts a little bit more that way. Cody got the long one. But, I mean, Cody's beating the shit out of QT, and then Solo jumps up in front of the ref and clobbers Cody over the back of the head. And then it's no DQ. Yes, strap matches are no disqualification. But don't do that spot. That is lazy booking. And you got two stooges out there anyway. One guy could have distracted the referee. But when the heels just blatantly interfere in front of the referee with willy-nilly, even in a no DQ match, it just subliminally takes it down into people's mind. Well, what the fuck? They're mad at that instead of anything else. Then here comes Dustin out and nails Solo and fights him all the way up to the arena bleachers. And Camarado, that big caveman, Solo, Camarato, a go-go, just in case you've forgotten, he just runs after him and you never see any of them again. And then QT takes over from behind with a nut shot. And then QT, his first and really only effort to win this thing, they started doing the Tracy and Dirty White Boy finish, where they both touch the buckle. But when QT goes for number 4, Cody puts the brakes on. And as he should have, and he grabbed a headlock, and they went to do a drop behind spot, but the strap, that's why you don't do these spots in a strap match, because the strap was around QT's neck, and when he boosted Cody up, and Cody was going to flip and land on his fucking feet, but Cody had the strap too, and it jerked QT down. It could have broken his fucking neck. Did you see that? Where they just went down in a heap.
I saw that.
And then to try to save it, QT gets behind Cody and tries to German him. But he Germaned Cody on his neck and his fucking shoulder. And all the momentum came to a halt for its, thank goodness, the way that momentum was going. But then Cody rolled out to the floor to do the spot they were going to do next, but QT had turned his back on him and went and touched a buckle. And then turned around and saw Cody on the floor and says, oh, shit. And he starts to get out over the ropes, and he realizes, oh, shit, wait, I got the strap. And he gets under the rope, and he went over there so that Cody can do the spot to pull him into the post. But, goddamn, just don't be so obvious. Don't just go, oh, shit, I should be over there. I'll just go and do that thing now. And then I hate to just pick these things apart, but I'm a reporter, and I'm also adopting a detached tone. But have you noticed, Brian, every time that somebody gets pulled or thrown into a post and they put their hands right in front of their head, it looks fucking phony as shit?
Well, yeah. I mean, I always figured it was a hard shot to take and you want to protect yourself somewhat, but there are guys that take it in such a way that it looks really bad.
Well, yeah, you do want to protect yourself, and also you don't want to do something if it's going to look like shit, and you don't want to bust your head open. So the idea would be take the post the right way. Everybody is looking when somebody gets their head thrown into something, for the fucking hand in between their head and the thing they're being thrown into, right? Whether it be a post or a table or anything, which is why you don't do it that way. This ring has square posts. The square posts are easy to do this. The round posts are even easier. But watch, Lawler takes a masterful fucking post. Bobby Eaton takes a masterful post. Terry Funk used to take a pretty masterful post. The point is, instead of throwing the head and the fucking, you trying to put your head into the post but not, and putting your hands up in the nick of time like people ain't going to see it, you take the post with your left arm tucked over your fucking stomach, and you take it with your shoulder. And you throw your right hand up over your head, and that's what hits the post or the table or the wall or whatever. And if you get enough motion going, when you fucking shoulder block that post or that wall, and you've got your face tucked, you're about a half an inch away from your face hitting the post, and you slap the post or the wall with the right hand over the top of your head and jerk your face at the same time, and you can't see through it. And the people's attention is drawn to the hand up above, which is clearly not in between the post and your face, and you get a little noise out of it, but also they see the meaningless sound and motion up there, and then they see your face fly back from the post, and they can't tell because it's close enough that you didn't hit it if you do it right. Or you can just throw both hands up in front of your fucking head and go head first into it on purpose. Anyway, QT got his ass kicked. When he got pulled into the post, he was off camera for 23 seconds and then showed up bloody. Can somebody please conduct a juice class? Because it shouldn't take that long. And to be honest, poor QT ended up with a pap smear that wiped off and dried up. I don't even think it ever dripped on his chest. They did a blackout, and the people popped, and it was a technical glitch, we thought. More on that later. QT got a little bit of heat, and then Cody came back and wrapped the strap around his neck and stood both feet on the top rope, choking QT with the strap. Why are all of these grown men standing with both feet on the top rope being offensive to their opponent? I can believe it on a second rope because you've got the top rope with your knees to brace or go around the buckle or whatever. But when people are standing on the top rope, supposedly doing damage to somebody, and that somebody that's getting damaged can't just push them off the fucking top, there's nothing to hold on to except the person that you're working with, which is why it's so obviously phony. And as soon as he did that, Cody jumped right up into QT's arms for a Hurricane Rana so the QT could catch him and powerbomb him off the top into the middle of the ring. And then a QT only got 2 buckles. Powerbomb off the top. At that point, JR said something over the top of Excalibur, interrupting him without meaning to, and then said, "Sorry, Mark." Is that Excalibur's name or just a description of his personality?
I believe that is, in fact, his name.
Yeah, well, now we know. Sorry, Mark. I was sorry the day you showed up on this TV show, Mark. Anyway, QT wrapped Cody up in the strap at one and did a diamond cutter off where Cody's draped on the top turnbuckle, and they landed in a heap and got 3 buckles. And then Cody put the brakes on, and QT tried to whip with the strap again, but was too short. Cody made a big comeback that had some fire to it and even hit the flying head scissors and some more good whipping. And then did you see the giant Cody cutter where he runs up to the top and leaps off backwards and gives the cutter to the guy in the ring?
I did see it, and I've never liked it. And again, to me, that move is preposterous.
It's way past preposterous. Did you see QT had to dive forward with his arms out to catch Cody? Because Cody by the nature of doing that move that way, runs up the top rope and springs off backwards without looking.
Yeah, it's like he's doing a coffin drop, so he's not even really like...
Yes.
The other guy basically stands there and then just dives into it, which is what QT had to do. In your head, I can understand why it would look cool, but to me, it doesn't work.
No, because the guy standing there reached his arms out and dove forward to be given the move. It's a strap match. I'm surprised they didn't have more fumbles where, like, almost decapitating QT, where the strap gets tied up and gets in the way and fucks you up. But anyway, the giant Cody cutter, and then Cody gets 3 buckles and gives QT another elbow and a ball kick and 3 crossroads and gets the 4th buckle. And QT was laying flat in the ring as Cody exulted in the cheers of the crowd. And boy, this has been a vicious back and forth rivalry where QT gets his ass handed to him every single time after his boys get run off and are never seen again. I don't know what to say. Why waste gimmick matches and stipulation matches on guys that you're not going to impart any more credibility to than poor QT here? He can't do anything or whip anybody. None of these heels can do anything or whip anybody. They can't even get along in their own groups. Your thoughts?
I actually think the bigger issue is just blowing through stipulation matches, regardless of, this specific feud. Seems like every week we have a stipulation match. I'm not saying we do, but it seems like it. And we've seen such a variety of stipulation matches. And the biggest problem to me is sometimes they just pop up. Like a good stipulation match, there's a reason for it. And there's a build towards the stipulation as opposed to random.
It makes sense. Everybody, all the fans understand why it's happening because of what's going on. It's obvious on the face of it.
Forget about South Beach being attached to strap match. Why are Cody and QT having a strap match? Explain it to me.
I can't.
This feud has been disjointed. You could argue that there was something that could have been done because people know that Cody and QT are friends and partners in that gym. But I think this whole thing has been done wrong.
It could. Yes, there could have been a serious, rivalry between 2 former friends over a business falling out, but not when one of the friends is portrayed as a complete goof that can't win anything, and then he's doing interviews on social media where he's talking about how he writes the show. So you think if he was writing it, he ought to put himself over once in a while.
And coming out of this feud, I mean, look, heels lose feuds and then things move on, but what do you want to see QT do now? What do you want to see him and his crew do? Who are they going to work with?
Heels lose feuds at the end.
At the end.
Can you imagine if John Wayne, if the fucking bad Cowboys didn't kill his wife or burn his ranch or shoot his horse, they just walked by and gave him the finger and then he pissed on him? Anyway, next, Shawn Spears, the chairman, was doing a promo in the back about hitting Sammy Guevara with a chair. And 20 seconds into the promo, a chair flies in from off camera and hits Shawn Spears in the side of the head, and he goes down.
Off camera in front of him, though. Off camera right in front of him. He would have seen the chair coming.
Yes. The camera's like 5 feet away from fucking Shawn Spears, and it's only one shot, and he's looking, and here comes the chair. You had to see the fucking guy. What? He couldn't see him. He hit through the entire camera setup. He's been there since catering at noon today in a mayonnaise jar or whatever. And then Sammy just walks in and says, "Gotcha, bitch," and sits down in the chair smiling. Whole thing lasted 30 seconds.
One note, AEW certainly loves their cursing. Too much of the word bitch, I think.
Well, too much of everything when you're letting all these little bitches say bitch. And everybody says, they probably got an allotment. You're probably allowed like 3 bitches, a shit, and a damn or whatever, but they use them just the underneath talent, just willy-nilly. So it means nothing, as usual.